I'm just so happy to welcome Jason Chapman with us from Production Voices, and we are going to talk about 300 grand. We're going to play some more. I just want us to welcome Jason Chapman from Production Voices. Welcome to the live stream today.
Oh man, it's awesome to be here.
All right, so man, okay, so first things first, how long has Production Voices been producing sample libraries?
Oh, probably, 2010. I don't know if I got to get my numbers right. Yeah, 12 years of
Wow.
doing that.
And what was your first library that you produced?
The first library that I produced was Studio Grand LE, and I produced that after recording some artists in the studio. So, can I give you some backstory?
Oh, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, so I was in the studio with two artists. We booked the studio for the day. We'd set up all the microphones. We had 4 microphones, like stereo pairs up. And one of the artists had made a couple of like little flubs that I knew I couldn't quite fix. So I thought, I'll go sample the piano. So then that way I could just replace what they were playing, right?
Oh, wow.
So if they had any notes, I could just go back in and do it. So the piano came right from my own production. So I kept it for myself. I didn't share it with anyone for a long time, and then finally decided to see if I could make a library out of it.
So you basically did it. You basically did it to replace something else, to replace like the actual piano recording, and that's
yeah, just a couple of notes that would have been an issue, right? So if I needed to stick a note in, I could do that.
That's great. That's great.
And then also because we want a consistent sound, if there was a song afterwards that wasn't recorded during that time, the piano sounded exactly the same, so the album was consistent with the tone, right?
Yeah, and it's like when you set up the mics, you've got to keep them the same. Because you can't go back a week later and they're going to be a little different, and so it's like you'll get a totally different sound.
Yeah, even if the humidity is different or the temperature is different, it's just crazy. Pianos just go out, microphones, everything.
Absolutely. Okay, so 300 grand. So first of all, where did the name 300 grand come from?
That was my wife, and she was suggesting that's how much all the equipment and everything cost in order to put this thing together.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, because we had studio grand, concert grand, production grand. It had to be something grand, right? So.
Oh yeah. So 300 grand. That's kind of like it kind of fits into both worlds there.
Yeah. A lot of equipment, a lot of money. No, I didn't pay that. That's the cost of the piano, and
Oh yeah. So you used the Yamaha CFX.
Yeah, Diskclavier.
And okay, so it's a Diskclavier. So that's how you were able to sample so many velocity layers
so smoothly.
Yeah.
But they don't show up perfectly calibrated, despite what people may think. We had to go through the whole piano, recalibrate it a couple of times, test all the velocity ranges. Diskclaviers also, like when they hit around 88 velocity, they don't go any louder.
Oh, wow.
So in order to get the range, you have to like bypass some safety stuff and then not tell anybody. And then also check for the dynamic range, right? So you don't want to record the last 8 velocities and they all sound the same dynamic level. So we had to calibrate everything and make sure that the upper end of the piano was just as good as the lower end, and do some measurements. And
that's one of the hardest things, I think, especially here lately with sample libraries, is piano libraries, is the velocity sensitivity, and that makes or breaks what you experience as a player. I think that's probably the most asked question that I get, or the comment is like, why doesn't my piano sound like the piano that you were playing, and we were playing the same library, but yet my controller's different. The velocity.
My users complain about that too. They say, "Why does it sound better when he does it?"
Yeah. And I always have to go back and say, well, other than just it's velocity. A lot of it is the curve. It's the way that that keyboard controller
Yeah.
is communicating with that library.
Yeah.
And if
Yeah.
it's not, if the library's not getting that information, it can't perform to the best. And there are certain, and this is the thing I started asking them. I said, "Do you have a such and such controller?"
Right.
And
Right.
and it begins
Are we
with
naming names, or
it begins with the letter Y, and I always say "ha" at the end, you know,
Yeah.
because it's like it never fails. It's a lot of times the Yamaha digital pianos
Yep.
have the worst
Mm.
response for some reason,
Hmm.
um, but but everything but they work with the curves and that kind of thing.
Yep.
So
Yep.
velocity is very important. So
I can control the recording, but I can't control what people play it back on. So that's frustrating as a developer. And I would love to have like a standard for keyboard controllers, that if we said this many grams of weight is considered, the minimum velocity that a key can be pushed down, like from a technical standpoint, we'd all like to start at the same level, right?
right.
So then you can say at this speed, we'll determine that to be 127 velocity, but that's not the case. So, I mean, I develop on a VPC. You can probably see it behind me.
Oh yeah.
Here. Yeah. So my curves are absolutely flat. The manufacturer's flat curves on it. So one of my libraries, Kontakt Grand, we have to change the curve on it just so that it sounds a little bit better. But 300 grand was totally flat. It sounds
well. The VPC is like it's like butter. When I actually got to go to Sweetwater. I was doing something up in Michigan. So if you get anywhere near Fort Wayne, you gotta
Right,
go
right.
to Sweetwater. So I was able to kind of play some of those VPCs, and it was like, yeah, it's just like the closest thing you can get to a real piano action in a controller.
Right. Yeah.
It's got the escapement. It's got just such a beautiful response. And then the SL88 that I have, the SL88 Grand, to me is the next best thing. If you can't get a VPC one,
Right.
then the SL88 Grand for me is just been such a marvelous keyboard.
I'd love to try it.
Yeah, it's got the
Here, I'll reach over.
yeah. Ah, he's coming through the screen. Just kind of give us a behind the curtain about how 300 grand came about. And I know the pandemic played a big part in that. So kind of help
Yeah.
walk us through that.
Sure. We'd finished Production Grand and Concert Grand, and another large company, not to be named, wanted to license some of our samples to include in a development project that they were doing. And they wanted to have more velocities on Production Grand and license it as the C7. And I thought, well, the best way to get more velocities is not to fake them, bring in like the two in-between velocities and then say, okay, you kind of mix them in so that you create more layers, right?
Yeah.
That's what some other companies have done. But I thought, well, if I get the exact same C7 and I know the studio that it was in, I could just re-record it all and do it at a much better level and release it as the next version of that. So I called up the Toronto studio where I was at, found out where the piano was. They put it in a brand new studio, and they said that they wouldn't let us record it because it was owned by an institution. So I thought, well, maybe I can find another piano to do this. And at the same time, the CFX had come up and another concert hall was available. So it's kind of like whenever you sample, it's like lightning in a bottle. You got to find the perfect instrument when the engineer's available, when I'm available, when the instrument's available, when nobody else is using a venue for like 10 days or more at a time, and put it together. So that kind of led to me thinking, well, I'll sample another instrument. And then I hadn't done a concert hall yet because it's impossible to get one right at that time. So I was lucky. This was just before the pandemic, and the place that was the concert hall, they couldn't use the concert hall because construction was going on around it, and they couldn't do parking or something ridiculous like that. It's like, I don't need to park. I just need to go in and record, right?
Right.
So, and this hall actually had a CFX already, but it wasn't a Diskclavier. So for me to record it, I would have to either hand sample it or get my machine in to do it. And for Concert Grand, I actually built a robot to mechanically hit the keys for me, and which is another story all in itself. Funny story. Side note. We'll do a side note.
Yeah.
My daughter, she has this little teddy bear. Okay, this makes sense. This will all make sense. And it has this button in the middle that you press the button, and the belly lights up, and at night becomes this, like a nightlight teddy bear thing. That you have,
it projects, right? Like it projects the. I guess. Yeah. That's cool.
You got it. This all makes sense. This will all come around. So it broke, and I took it all apart and I soldered it back together, and I got to work. And my wife was super impressed. She's like, "Wow, you were able to fix that? That's amazing." I was like, "I built a robot that plays the piano." Fixing.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal, right? Sometimes we forget.
Yeah, that's wild.
So then I didn't want to bring out the robot, because the robot that I built, it only does like kind of the middle range velocities very well. It doesn't do the lower end velocities or the upper end. So in Concert Grand, I had to hand sample up and down and kind of make the rest of the range to get well into the 20 velocities, right? So it was best to get a Diskclavier in for the CFX and do it. So with the Diskclavier in, and I was very, very lucky that I don't know if anyone's ever recorded in a studio before, but the sound level that's acceptable. Any ideas? We should ask people in the comments, what is the acceptable decibel level for a recording studio for noise floor? Like just quiet. What's the sound? What's the noise? Right?
Yeah.
Any guesses? Any guesses?
It's got to be crazy low. So
most studios kind of accept like anywhere between 32 decibels noise floor up to 40, or that's getting a little bit loud, right? But if you're sampling a piano that trails out, you're going to have that noise floor mixed in with the sound of the piano, right?
Oh, yes. And I've experienced that with a lot of different libraries. Yeah.
And it's hard because you have dither as well. So dither is like when you convert 24-bit audio to 16-bit. Maybe some of your users will know you have to add a small amount of noise in there in order to maintain a higher bit rate than 16 bits to preserve some of the 24-bit to get in there. Okay, but either way, this brand new studio that we were in, we were so lucky with the concert hall that it was like as low. I've never heard a studio be that silent before.
Wow. In the concert hall?
In the concert hall.
Wow.
Yeah. Because they built it, and it's like, it was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful building.
And that's up in Toronto?
That's in an undisclosed location near me.
In an undisclosed location.
I was actually told I couldn't use any of their branding or anything. And,
okay.
The labeling and that, yeah. I can ride there on my bicycle, so if anybody...
Wow. Okay, so any other fun things that you want to share about 300 grand before we actually pull it up and kind of play with it some?
I think I'm not quite sure if your users are aware that most sample library developers are independent people like me. It's just some guy in his house, right, doing the sample libraries, and it's usually not a huge team. So Production of Voices is mostly just me, right, doing these things. But our sampling session, we have to book the piano, we have to get it in, we calibrate, bring in all our equipment. It takes a lot of time to decide what equipment we use, what microphones to choose, where you're going to place them, and what the sound planning should be. You'll see some libraries where they pull the piano top off, which is pretty cool, right? In a studio, then you can place your microphones on top. But you don't get projection in a hall if you leave the lid of the piano, or take the lid off, because the sound is just going everywhere.
Yeah,
it's
everything just
omnidirectional, right?
Yeah.
So then if you place a piano on stage, you want the sound to project out through the stage, whatever. So you have to plan where your microphones are. You have to kind of figure out how much hall and ambience you're going to get into each of these microphones, and what sort of variety might make sense for a user. And so when I was making these decisions, I thought, well, every piano has to have that close hammer sound where you have the microphones right over top. And that's classic piano sound, right? Like a large diaphragm condenser is just right over top of the hammers. Nice, bright attack. That's your inside mics. But then at the same time, the classical purists really want, distant sound, hall, but not just reverb, right?
Right.
So yeah, and then the question is how can you bring all these microphones together so that they make sense, they all work together, and what is the sound? So that's kind of the planning stage going in. And then a piano of this size rings out. Okay, we can ask in the comments below. 9-foot grand piano, how long does the longest string ring out for? Any guesses for duration?
Okay, so like the longest string on the piano, like you're talking about the A, and how
Yep.
long, what's the decay, like the natural decay from like beginning to end? How long is that going to ring out?
Yeah, play the loudest note you got. And how long is it going to decay for? So you can get up to minute 10, minute 20, and then the question is in a big hall where something can really resonate and sing out, and there's no real any sort of thing acoustically stopping the string from ringing out. So then, do you sample that? Do you record out to the end?
Yeah.
So then, if you're doing 16 velocities, and you're doing 1 minute, there's 16 minutes for one note.
Just one note.
One note. But we're not doing 16, we're doing 36. So now we're half hour, 40 minutes of recording per note.
Wow. And
then you have to think, you have to leave space for the mechanism to come back up. So you have to plan for the amount of space. When does it come down? What happens if there's a noise or something bench creak or something in there? Do you resample the note, or do you draw it out afterwards, like draw it out in RX? So there's software that allows you to pull out little noises that happen, right? So the real answer to that question for anyone who wants to be a sample library developer is you resample the note.
Yeah.
Because 1 minute now will save you half an hour later. Because it takes you half an hour to go in, draw it out, figure, does it sound right? And,
One of the big things, one of the big takeaways I want everybody to understand is that exactly what you're talking about right now is that for one note, and you're doing 36 velocity layers, you could be into it close to 45 minutes to an hour just for one note.
For one note. And that's just pedal up. You have to do that again for pedal down.
So that...
And una corda, right? Soft pedal down.
Yeah.
Pedal up. So then if you're doing that, like one note could be up to 4 hours.
Yeah. For one note.
For one note. And there's 88 of them, just in case anybody didn't know.
Wow. Yeah, and I think that's what we take for granted, because we load it up and we go da 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 da, and it was just like, okay, so every note that I'm playing here could have taken up to 4 hours to actually capture the sample, not even thinking about editing it and scripting it and everything else.
Yeah. So some companies are a little bit more sophisticated than me with the editing. So then they can set up like MIDI notes that are at the same time as the audio, and then you can have a computer kind of trim your notes automatically for you. I have to trim twice when I cut things, because there's the mechanism, the key mechanism noise that comes down. So when you press a key, before the key actually, the hammer comes up on the other side, you're getting the mechanism noise, right? And that's a lot of realism in the piano. So then that has to be one segment of the sound. But to explain that, and I don't know if pianists we intuitively know this, but we don't actually have seen it technically in front of us, is that the slower you play a note, the longer the pre-attack is, because you're taking a longer time pressing the hammer mechanism down. The quicker you go down, the shorter the note is. But it's not consistent and even across the whole keyboard. The lower end, the hammer shank, and so on is a different distance than on the upper end of the notes, right? So in order for me to separate pre-attack from the actual attack portion of the waveform, it's we have to go in and edit each of those notes twice in order to, even if you're identifying them properly. So some people could use curves to say, okay, I'll take one sample, and then part of it way through is that pre-attack, and we'll just offset the sample start to that point, and we'll use a computer algorithm to figure out, across the keyboard, the scaling for that. But it doesn't work out perfectly, right? What works out perfectly is when you go in and you listen and you find out when the actual tone of the piano starts and you put the note in. So I could have gone in and guesstimated these, but we didn't. So maybe that was not so wise because it took forever. But I went in and put in every single pre-attack, and we did it. And it was actually an editor here in London that did most of that work. His name was Kyle Ashbourne. So he did most of that editing, and I was doing the quality control on that. So
it's amazing. So how many guys total that were involved in doing this? You and you say an editor. Just
yep.
Not that many guys.
Yeah, no, there's my engineer that worked with me was Dejan Martineau from Toronto. He's an excellent producer, amazingly talented gentleman. He's a freelance engineer and producer in Toronto.
Wow.
And all my big libraries I've done with him, Production Grand, Concert Grand, and 300 Grand, because we used the studio, Phase 1 studios, while it was still in operation to do the first two pianos. So
amazing. Okay, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and pull up 300.
Oh, that's perfect.
300 Grand, and
I want to give out a shout out to the designers. The designers were Kovdra, if I'm not mistaken, and they are from the Ukraine. Before there was a Russian invasion, but I just wanted to say that my thoughts are with them as they're still living in Ukraine.
Absolutely.
I just want to see Kovdra design. Kovdra.
Wow.
Kovdra.
Yeah, it's beautiful. They did such a beautiful job with this. Okay. This is just the first preset that comes up. I'm using the 300 Grand main.
Yeah, so that'll be 16 velocities. Yeah.
So 16 velocities.
Yeah,
so
16 on the lower end, 18 on the upper.
All of these different main presets here. We've got 300 Grand 22, so that's 22 velocities.
It's 22 and 23. I wanted to make sure that no one said, hey, you're going on the upper end and lying to us about that. So it's actually 23 on the upper end and 22 on the lower end. Same with the 30. The 30 is 30 to 34, I believe.
So when you say upper and lower, you're talking about just the key range?
The splits, because of the timing we had and how we had to calculate, how much sampling time we had left in the session to do things. We split it up, and we said the minimum that we would give is 32 velocities. And then, but we got up to 36 velocities in the upper end. So like C5 and up on either pedal down or pedal up, and then C4 and up on either one of those, whatever it is. Yeah.
And then we've got a 36 velocity Ambisonic
36.
Ambisonics preset, and we'll look into that. We're going to look into that, and then 32 velocities channel 1 through 9. Now, what is that is focusing on?
So that's anything except ambisonics.
Okay.
And the reason why we had to do this is because there's a limit in Kontakt, a hard limit on the number of samples that we can put in. So if I was to include everything at 32 to 36 velocities, Kontakt wouldn't take the right amount of samples to do it.
Okay.
So we reached the limit.
So 300 grand's pretty much like a safe just the 300 grand by itself is just
Yep.
a safe preset to use. But you know what? We are not going to be safe around here. We like to
Yeah.
walk on the wild side a little bit. So,
So
I'm gonna load the 32V,
yeah.
and let's look at that.
I don't know if you've seen this before though. If you select the I for info, that down below, like when you're hovering over one of the controls, it will tell you everything about it and what it's doing.
I love to see as much quote unquote info as I can because it just so helps you to kind of immerse yourself into the instrument there.
I wanted to let people know I am well aware that, you know, I am a little ADD and I put in way too much information into 300 grand. So I put in that info line so that people could kind of figure out what I was doing there.
Okay, so got a question from Wei Li.
Yes.
And can I turn off the silent key option?
Yes. Not within 300 grand itself. And I think we should explain it to people is that when you take a piano key and you push it down as slow as possible, it doesn't make a sound, right?
Right.
So on a keyboard controller, if you want to emulate the true piano experience, when you have velocity of 1, the piano actually shouldn't sound. But that drives some users crazy because they're like, I want it to sound no matter what. So, but like on a piano, we wouldn't go up to the piano technician and say, you know, when I press it so soft, make sure it happens. But users have a reason for that, and they like the touch to be smooth. So the way to get around that is if you scroll up in Kontakt, there is a script above for your multi. And the script in your multi allows you to open up a velocity there. So then what you have to do is you have to go up. It says multi-rack right there, and it says new default, or right above where it says 300 grand 32V.
Right here.
Way to the right it says KSP.
Okay.
Now you're going to go to presets on the left. They'll say bypass presets edit.
Okay.
You're there. This is like live tech support. I love it.
Okay.
Presets. You got it
Preset.
underneath bypass. Presets, yeah, factory. Yep, transform. And you should have change velocity. There it is. You are now our tech support. Yeah, I'll send all questions over to you.
And then
underneath minimum, it will say minimum is 1. So that's the minimum velocity that you can actually play, right?
Okay, minimum is 1.
Yeah, so if you bring that up to 2 or 3.
Okay, so you can't actually.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so we go to 2.
Up to 2 or 3. 2. So now the lowest velocity note that you can play, no matter how slowly you play your controller, is 2, and it will play the piano. So a note will come through.
Okay. So it's still playing something.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I hope that helps.
That is for any library, of course, because these are available. You know, doesn't matter what piano library you have open.
Yeah, let's just play. The hammer mics are just so clear.
So right now you have the outside on.
Okay, I got the outside on.
So those are the tube mics.
Close piano sound.
Yep.
Okay, let's do that. Let's just kick on the ham. And I love having all 9 things here. So we're loading.
You got to turn the volume up. So you just control click or bring it up.
We're loading. We're loading. And these are Rode NT2s?
No, those are U87s.
U87s, that's right. Yeah. I was
AIs.
in the inside or the NT2s. That's great. Yeah, So let's just go through these mics real quick.
Sure.
And someone said, just we're going to talk about the different mics, and then we'll get into some of the reverb settings. So control click. Okay, so control click will set
or
that.
Alt click, it'll bring it up. There you go.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I'm just going to go ahead and have these. So the inside now, this is the Rode NT2s now.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Yeah. And the $149, that is not an intro price, is it?
No.
That is the price.
That is the price, yeah. And I think a lot of people like, it was, as a developer, I make awesome piano samples. I'm not good at the marketing and figuring this stuff out, right?
Yeah.
So I really thought 149 was I think for what you get, an exceptional value, and probably a product that's never going to go on sale. It's going to be what it is, and
yeah.
I'd love to give people, an amazing value.
It's just no games. It's just, people know what they're getting, and definitely the value is absolutely there.
So one of the things, I don't know if you hear, is that the difference between the hammers and the inside, they're almost near identical. It's just more of the attack that's quite a bit, just a little bit smoother, more body, it's a forward sound, but without an aggressive attack.
So the hammer is a little more aggressive.
Yeah.
Because you've got them closer to the hammers, of course, and then the Rhodes are a little bit farther
back on the strings, and then you hear more of the resonance from the soundboard.
This is the hammer mic.
Yep.
Now let's do the inside. Yeah, this is the inside.
They're going to be very similar sounding.
This is them together. And I don't think I don't have any reverb on right now. So this is just the yeah.
So the beautiful way of the benefit of recording it like this, and I'm sure other sample libraries do the same thing, is that now you can control the amount of ambience that you get, right? So close-up microphone, you're taking some of the hall out, and then for styles of music that don't require that ambience, you can still get an aggressive forward sound on your piano.
Yeah, so the outside mic is the tube
Yep.
microphones.
Spaced pair, cardioid pattern.
So we can kind of see a little bit.
Yeah, those are the stage that you're pointing at. The outside would be closer to the piano, like right there. Yeah, on either side. Yeah.
Cool. So this is the tube. It's just got a different tone.
The engineer calls these the golden mics.
Wow.
They're beautiful microphones.
So let's just talk about the reverb while we're here.
Sure.
And let's throw some little reverb on here. So we've got all of these different.
Yeah, my suggestion, if I was to go through, is that if users take a look on the right side with anything that says hall, where It's at near the top. I'll say Hall 300. These were all the sampled reverbs, the convolution reverbs that I created for each microphone perspective. That when we created the impulse response for them, they're actually from the Hall in the exact same position that the microphones were there. We did it with the piano in place and everything. So when you choose 300 PLR, that's the player position, hammer position, inside, outside, ribbon, and so on, right? So you'll see each of those. So the most ambient that you'll get is the Omnis in the Hall, which will say OM, I believe.
Okay, so we'll do that. So that's so this is like the Hall microphones.
Yep.
Placed way out here. Okay, so let's use that.
And then you have to use the reverb send on the channel.
Yeah, and it's right here.
So again, I'd be hearing this in mono, but hopefully your users are hearing it in stereo.
Yeah, this is the impulse response from the Hall, Brian. Yeah, so this is like that, the impulse response captured from the Hall microphones. And that's really nice. Okay, so we've got a question. Is it possible to combine, let's say, out one plus the stage mic, but give stage mic some delay? Or should...
No, that's an excellent question, and I wish I was the one who planted it in the audience because it's such an amazing question. And the answer is absolutely, it is possible. Ooh. Because you can turn on outside one like you did, plus the stage mic, and not delay. I assume they mean reverb. And so you would crank the reverb down on out one and turn it up on the stage. And so then individually, each microphone has its own reverb send amount.
So is it like time domain? I guess I'm wondering if he's talking about maybe the actual microphone time.
Oh, the time between them.
The time between them, like the mean time, like the...
Oh, yeah.
Because like the sample would pick up sooner on a closer mic and then later on the other one.
Yeah, we should mention something about that, is that all the microphones were done in place. So if you do turn on the Hall microphone on its own, not saying you have to do it now, but we put this in a way that I offset the sample so that it's going to sound right away. It's not going to have the same delay as if when you have it with the hammer mic in the Hall. When the hammer mic and the Hall mic are on, the sound starts at the hammer mic, and there's proper editing where the Hall mic is in phase and exactly where it needs to be.
Okay.
But in order to give more delay or distance to those, yes, you would need two instances if that's what he's asking.
Yeah.
And then like if you're in Kontakt or Pro Tools or whatever, you can choose the amount of delay time on the inspector for each of those,
so basically all the mics are time aligned. They're all sort of time aligned. So
we edited right like at the hammer mics, the closest mic, and everything down. So if you choose not to have the hammer mics and the piano is playing like a Hall mic, there is a 20 millisecond pre-delay of silence, right? But we calculated that silence, I should say, and if you only have the Hall mic on, it does change the start time to be the appropriate time, and it depends on which microphone you have on. So if you just
let's just do this. Let's just turn the Hall mic on, and so the hammer mic's the hammer mic's down, and
you shouldn't experience any latency.
And you hear that decay.
Yep.
And then if you turn the hammer mic on, I love that. Yeah, the sound just going, it going off the stage like that. You just hear that.
Oh yeah,
it's life. It's just like,
yeah, it's real. It's real.
It's real. Yeah. But this is so nice. And then the Hall 2 mic is another pair of Omnis.
Yeah, no, it's a pair of Omnis spaced in the hall.
Yeah, and you can hear a different decay with that. Yeah. Yeah, you just hear that natural oomph. And then when you have that, like the closer mics in, yeah, that's just gorgeous. So let's turn on some more mics.
Turn them all on. That's what I said. And then
Turn them all on. I've got 64 gigs of RAM, and why not? The other thing I want to compliment you guys on in this is that the CPU is like, it just like barely is touching. So with all the mics on and doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, you can see your voice count get up high too, right?
Oh yeah.
3. Now, if you click on the voice count itself, it's set, I believe I set it to 750 or something.
Yeah, I was pushing pushing that close to 768.
Yeah, you can crank that to whatever your CPU wants. I just set it to something that I thought wasn't, insane.
Yeah, just doing that crazy thing that I just did with everything on. It was just getting above 20%. So, wow. Okay, so let's listen to the player mic, and I might as well turn the hammers on.
I have the player mic with me. I brought it in.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you'll just see me duck away here.
Yeah, sure.
You go ahead and play.
Oh, I got the Hall 2 mic.
That's player in the hall, yeah.
Yeah, this is just player by itself. So that's a binaural. It's like a little binaural.
Yeah, this is kind of like a poor man's binaural. This is for field recording engineers. This is kind of like kind of a secret sauce for a lot of people. Right? This is the Crown SAS. Mine's not a Mark II, but I can make it almost a Mark II just with some equalization, which we've done in it. And what this does is if I kind of put it next to my head, which is kind of ridiculous, right? You can say this will be your new screenshot, by the way. This is like a setup. I'm trying to put it in so that on screen I can see it. There we go. It's the opposite direction stuff that's driving me.
Yeah.
Is that this is imitating a head, and the microphone capsules are on either side here. If I see one and then the other, right? You can see them right. Yeah, it's hard which one I'm tapping. There we go. So the microphones are right there. And those represent kind of the same thing as our distance between our ears, right?
Yeah.
And then this foam is, kind of our, the part of our head that's absorbing the sound and such. So this microphone is very similar to, the Neumann binaural that some people use as well. This one's kind of a pseudo binaural. And the nice part about this microphone is that it's also stereo compatible. So it does, you can do it stereo without headphones on. It sounds just as good with headphones on as well. Wow. So then that gives you the sense of a head and placement, and you can see it in the picture right at the keyboard, right? That's a microphone.
Yeah.
Kovtra did a nice job with the design showing that microphone. And when you put that right at the player's position, it's binaural. It's like, sounds like you're right at the piano.
Yeah. And again, no reverb. There's no, I don't have
Mhm.
any reverb going on in here. And it just sounds just so beautiful. And so if I put the Hall, the Omni Hall,
Yep.
it's going to push it out into the...
Yeah, that might be a little loud, but we'll give it a try.
I never know what I'm going to play. It just kind of...
So for users to compare, you can bring the Hall 2 mic up.
Okay.
And leave the reverb on the player and kind of see. So now you're going to get kind of the smooth, kind of more direct sound from the Hall. So the piano is actually making it to the Hall and through the Hall mics, plus you're adding that reverb.
Wow. It just gives you so many different ways to shape the tone.
Yep.
Using the reverbs from different microphones, using the different, I guess it's just such a palette of different, that's just incredible.
I would try like Player with its own Player reverb. So if you go up to the Hall reverb at the top, and then you'll choose Player as the first setting, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I would still include a little bit of Hall with that. But you can hear what it sounds like Player with its own Player reverb. Kind of smooths out the sound a little bit because it's kind of hearing the reverb twice.
Yeah. Now let's throw some Hall in there. And
Sure.
Yeah, to get that.
If I was doing that in a production, I'd pull the reverb back on the Player a little bit. Yeah. And then the Hall just a little more.
Interesting.
So if users haven't seen, or if people haven't seen yet, what we've done is on the left side of the interface is dry sounds, and as you move to the right, there's more ambience.
There is a method behind the madness.
So if you want kind of a medium ambience, you're going right in the middle for a single mic perspective, right? But if you want a really dry sound, you're on the left. Really wet sounds are on the right. So
that's
then
great.
It goes from distance from the piano, right? Closest are on the left, and the furthest away from the pianos move out as you go along.
That's very intuitive. It just okay. So right now, I've got almost 6 gigs loaded with these 8
Yep.
mic positions loaded, and so Ultra Nova.
That's with 32 velocities. Yeah.
Okay, 32 velocities. So what's the total storage size for the whole library?
On my computer, it's 72 gigs.
Okay.
But Native Instruments, when you go native access, says 67.76 or something like that. So it depends on what your hard drive is formatted to. So yeah, on most Macs that do regular formatting, it will be around 72. And then if you're formatting on PC, it'll be a little bit less, just because of the sector size.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
Okay.
So that's compressed lossless. So when you look at the library uncompressed, you're well over 200 something gigabytes, right?
Wow, incredible. Okay, so like let's go to like one of the snapshots. Somebody mentioned like Claire de Lune. So what would be a good snapshot for that?
Let's take a look at them, and I would say probably stage. So then you have to switch over and see some sort of. So your choices are. Let me just see. You got piano performance. You would say pure stage, Puritan Hall, or Puritan Hall, one or the other. So Puritan Hall would be probably just the hall, so then you're not going to get a lot of clarity to the sound, but you'll get like classical, what you would expect from a recording, from a recital. Pure stage would be then just the stage with it.
Yeah, so this is just using that hall.
Yeah.
And it's actually the 16th anniversary of one of our cousins that got married, and I had to learn this for their wedding. Now let's go to the
Sure.
pure stage.
I like to build sounds. So many times this is the way engineers work, right? So then if you're getting a good kick drum sound, you're saying, okay, what's the compression? What's the limiter? What's the EQ on it? Placement and so on. So when you're building the sound of kit, I do the same thing with the piano. So I would start with something and I'd start adding something and kind of just build the sound. So yeah, this is great. Let's hear what the stage sounds like.
Turn the pedal noises down.
Yeah, pedal noise, yeah.
I mean, that's just lovely. Wow.
On top of that, I would add out 2, which are the ribbon mics.
Oh, Oh,
And then you get a little more body in the low end.
man.
Mm.
Ribbons are my favorite. So these are these like
Coles.
oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
other classics,
Oh
the
man.
4038s or whatever they are. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Man. The ribbons to me, it's like velvet. It's like listening to velvet.
My heart just melts when I hear them.
And so does your motorcycle, or whatever was just driving past the window.
What was that? What is it?
I think so. Hey, BF, this is for you. It's my best Incredible Hulk theme. I can remember Bill Bixby, Bill Bixby and Lou Ferrigno. And just the depth, the stage, the sound stage. I've got to bring this up. This is something. So we're all into comparisons, and so this is definitely going to be compared with Noir. It's going to be compared with the Synchron CFX. It's going to be compared with the Garriton. And this is what I was talking to you about yesterday when we were just kind of chatting. Is that those other pianos were recorded in a studio setting. They were recorded in a large studio. Niels Fromm recorded his CFX in his studio. Abbey Road was the home of the Garriton CFX, Studio A, big studio space. Of course, the Synchron CFX was recorded on the Synchron stage, the big Synchron stage. This is different in the fact that it's recorded from a performance hall perspective. And
a piano performance hall.
A piano performance perspective. I think that's what sets this apart. And having these mic positions, the way that the way that you've done the mic positions and given us the actual impulse responses from the room, I think it just makes such a difference in how this sound is being experienced. So. So when you're making comparisons, you've got to take everything in consideration. Not just the piano, it's the room, it's the environment, it's the mics, it's everything. Everything has to kind of come together with that. Wow. Little Michael Knight, So, what's another favorite of yours? And this has been and thank you so much for your time today, man.
Oh man,
this
I love
is
it.
This is just glorious.
My glory.
And let me just segue, just do a little. So. Yeah, we're going to be with Jason a little bit longer, but just hang on because this is going to be pretty epic. But we're going to get to the Spitfire thing as soon as we can. But I want to make sure that we give Jason all the time that we need, and because we are getting ready to give away we're going to give it away. We're going to give away not just one, but Jason's agreed to give us a bonus one, and the bonus is going to be for you guys that are in the chat right now. So yeah, that's just awesome. Okay, let's go. Let's just do a little bit more, and then we'll do some giveaways and
sure.
Beautiful. So what's another one of your favorite sounds from this? Oh, you want to do? Let's just hit on the Ambisonics.
Sure, let's do it. So we have to load it up.
So
now, maybe while you're loading it up, I should kind of give a little background on Ambisonics. I'm following your screen, so if my eyes are going crazy, it's I'm just following what you're doing. Ambisonics was a technology for sound field that was figured out in the 1970s. And what they figured out is that if they used 4 capsules on a microphone, that they could take any sound around that capsule and point the microphone at it. And you can create virtual microphones. So this one microphone allows you to have a stereo pair, or you can do 5.1 surround. It's kind of like the most flexible type of recording that we're seeing now. And
Yeah.
So what's beautiful about this, and especially on a piano, is that one, developers in the near future, when you do this, you can, as a composer, write a piece of music that is a somber love song or something, and as someone is going through a movie or through a video production, they can walk by the piano.
Wow.
Like they can hear, like you can make it sound like you're moving around or within that environment, at least on the stage, right? So there's ways to do that with processing with pianos now and reverbs and such, but this just makes it a little more immersive, right? The ability to do that.
Yeah.
So what you see on the interface here is you see we're creating 2 virtual microphones. Now within the interface, we can only do 360-degree pan. When I say only, is like whatever library allows you to turn yourself all the way around in, right at the instrument. But when you do external and you use another plugin, what it allows you to do is to get the height as well. So you can point the microphone up to the ceiling, you could point it down at your feet, and then move it at any position playing around. So what we're seeing here is 2 microphones, so stereo, and wherever you want to point them.
So this is from what position? Just outside of the piano, just a little bit
just outside of the piano, yeah.
And then we can take this and the width and spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we can bring it back.
Yep.
So
and that goes to mono. When you bring it back, that goes to mono.
So Justin, yeah, we talked about this earlier, but $149, that is the price. No intro, no, just a very fair price for that. So it's not an intro price. So there's yeah, it is what it is, and I think he made a great choice with that number because you're getting so much more than that.
Well, anyone who has 300 grand compact, we're giving you a full retail price on that back. So then if you bought 300 grand compact before 300 grand went on sale, we'll give you whatever price you paid for 300 grand compact as a refund towards 300 grand.
Wow. And okay, so we've got different, yeah, kind of walk us through some of this fun stuff here.
Sure, let's do it. My favorite, and what I think is the most balanced and probably the best perspective of the whole piano, is under Ambisonic presets, where it goes Blum line or Bloom line, however you want to pronounce it. That one right there, you got it. This is what I consider the glory piano.
Yeah. And then you can always throw a reverb. You can throw reverb on that if you want.
Sure.
Does that work?
I would say even like, why do reverb when you can do the real thing, right? You could call up this one because you're doing just the Ambisonics. You can put like a second instance of 300 grand and then you'd add the hall in, right? And then it would just be right? So you got it. But in this case, yes, you could do the reverb. If you wanted to hear more reverb sound in what you're playing, you could change the microphone perspective and point it to the back of the hall, right? So I would try card, move the perspective up to card.
Okay.
There you go. And then you take your angle, and right now it's facing forward, and grab any one of them, and that's forward. Then you're going, that's behind, right?
Okay.
So that's.
Oh, wow. So it's like the mics are like pointing now away from the piano. And now we can just kind of...
You can move it while you're playing it, yeah.
That's kind of freaky. You can kind of hear those. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, so you've just got so much control over. So straight up is mono. It's mono.
Yep. So then, if most people kind of know recording, you'll know that XY is like 90 degrees, and that would be 90 degrees there.
It's just so present with you. Hey Jason, we're getting some comments about the lava lights. I just noticed yours back there just now.
Oh yeah.
Those are what I call power cores. Those are like on the Enterprise, the cores,
Oh yeah. Oh, I should have turned on my other one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's going too? I don't know.
Let's see. What is it? That. I've been listening to some Sergio Mendes. Yeah. Ding 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 ding. Da, 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 ding, ding. I can't remember what key it's in right now, but that's a lot of fun. Give us one more of your favorite things about.
We haven't even looked at like production, like. So then, what we could do is we could load up 32 V or even 22 V if you wanted to. So 22 V. And then, so this is just 22 velocities, but it'll give us the ability to explore what happens when you turn on sort of the tape simulation and limiting or that sort of thing. So one of the presets, or snapshots, I should say, is going to be like our production ready. Hang on a second, let's see what we got. 300 grand, robust all grand. So this is like everything on. Yeah, so we should end with a big bang, right? Cannons firing.
Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, so somebody's talking about classical music, and I think I'm not a classical musician. It's just like I tell everybody all the time. I've got most of my classical music education from Bugs Bunny and Tom and Jerry. It's just such an amazing thing. But I think with the so staccato samples. So yeah, because we can. just love being able to go. Yeah, I love being able to go just like right here.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm choking the voice count. Let's see. I'm gonna go.
Just crank it up, 1500.
Well, 1024. That's a good.
You're so conservative.
Okay, I want to go more, because when I'm doing those repetitions like that, I'm going to go 2500, because I can start hearing the stealing when I'm just kind of doing. Yeah, now we're getting 1500 voices. Yeah. But we've got all 9 microphones going on. So when I play one note, I'm seeing like 22, 30 voices used. So that's what happens here. Okay, let's do this, Brian. Brian asked a question about sympathetic resonance.
Yep.
Sympathetic resonance.
So we have sympathetic resonance. It is simulated, but it's still being taken from samples. Yeah, so when you turn on sympathetic resonance, you'll get it. Oh, that might be a little bit high.
Okay.
But yeah. And it's going to use a lot of velocity count too when you have lots of microphones on, so it's kind of resource intensive. But if you hold down a G or whatever and then play a G major, try it above it or something, then yeah.
Okay, so I'll hold a G down here.
Yeah. You'll need an octave below to get. But
I kind of hear that ringing out a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's just exaggerate a little bit.
There.
Yeah, so it's a little bit.
So we did it in a way that made sense for the velocity count, not velocity count, the polyphony count. So you're going to get octaves, fifths, a few fourths in there as well. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just killing the voice count. Yeah, 1500, you know. Yeah. There it is. Yeah, like, let's see. Yeah. Água de beber, camarão. Água de beber, camarão. Little Joe Beam, you know.
Man, you're killing it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and hear that sympathetic resonance now come in. It kind of sneaks in there. Yeah. Let's see.
If you hit Master Effects, we haven't even looked at like turning on the tape sim and such, right?
Okay.
So, yeah. There you go. Turn on the tape sim. There you go. It's going to be preset. You don't have to worry about pulling anything down. It's just going to be.
Yeah, that just gives a little.
Yeah. Then I preset the master EQ. So you can turn that on. You'll get a little bass bump and a little high end bump.
It's just so rich. And let's see what we've got. Yeah, and so we've got a different mixer page along with this right here. Yeah, we've got all these mics pulled up, and it's just so beautiful. So the out 2 is the
ribbons. Yeah,
is the ribbons. So I'm gonna see. Do we have a solo? Can we solo?
Yep,
yeah, we can solo this. Yeah. Oh my goodness, I just. Yeah, and that's the thing. You've got this whole Master Effects section right here in my best Vanna White, you know. Just so gorgeous. Okay.
If anyone's engineer as well, audio engineer, it's set up just like an analog console, right? So
it is. Yeah, that's just so cool. And we got a transient designer. Yeah, so you basically just have everything you need to kind of, and that's why I guess your company's called Production Voices, because these pianos are created for your productions, for your yeah. Listen to that. I don't know that. I just know the hook of ribbon in the sky. Now you guys are starting to tweak me now. Isn't she lovely, beautiful? Yeah, and that's kind of a good way to end this segment. Isn't she lovely? Isn't this piano lovely? It is just beautiful, and I'm telling you, we could spend so much time. And I tell you what, you definitely got to come back.
Anytime.
You gotta come. You gotta come back. You've got to come back.
Just invite me on your show, and I'll just listen to you play all day. You have to choose a reverb to add it to it.
Yeah, I do. Let's put it in a church, like a cathedral here. And I'm going to go ahead and turn these other mics down a little bit, off.
These should be soloed, I think, anyways, right?
Oh,
Were it soloed?
so when we, yeah. So is it still using voices when it's soloed?
Yeah, looks like it is.
Yeah. What a friend we have in Jesus.
Yeah, you have the hymns down.
What a friend we have in Jason. And okay, well, Jason, thank you so much. So
so awesome being on the show.
So thank you guys. Blessings to you. Thank you so much for your generosity. And
thank you for you and all of the things you do for the community, man. It's amazing.
I love it. I love doing this. So
it was amazing. Thanks again.
Okay, man. And just check the links in the description and make sure you pick up Production Voices 300 grand. Okay, man. So we'll see you soon. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Stay joyful, Jason.
I always do.
Okay.